Okay, we're going to have a Socratic circle to introduce this new unit. Reminder of the rules. Those in the middle are having the discussion. Those on the outside must come to the burn seat to comment. You must come at least once. Also, I want those on the outside and the inside to be thinking of questions you might pose to the group on the topic we're going to discuss. So as we're having the discussion, any questions that you think are higher level, open-ended, don't just have one answer. Don't think of a question that you know the answer to and ask the group and somebody answers it in one word and it's done. Think about higher level questions, open-ended. Maybe don't have one exact answer. Probably shouldn't have one exact answer. And that'll be more clear as we talk about the topic. I'll pose the first couple, then I'd like for you all to pose some, and if we like some, we might discuss those for a while. But on this topic. Okay, so the first question is, for the group, what do you think the first steps the new nation should be now that they are officially their own country? What do you think the first things the new country should be, and why? And why is important? Okay, don't just tell me make a government. Tell me how and why. The first steps the new country should make. And also remember to pause after your classmate's comment. Don't just rush right into your comment. Okay, go.
I think they should write the Bill of Rights and the rest of the Constitution, because that way they can form a government and have rules set out for the USA.
They should form like a government system in general. I think so there's like a way to do things, and so like everybody knows like the protocol and how things are gonna go for everybody to go along.
I think on like defense, they should create get everybody get an army together and then disperse the armies to like the different colonies to like build forts and bases.
I think they should get a leader of their government, so they can have someone to lead their country into better things, I guess. Maybe like George Washington or somebody.
I believe they should start communicating with other countries and trying to resolve debts that they have to pay.
Kind of like being conceived with all combined. They need to like create a government that's organized, and then we need to pick a leader for that government that's set. And then with that government and the leader, they need to create a set of rules for the country.
Well, they also need like an organized army, in my opinion, for like if anybody does attack them, they're prepared.
I think they also need to start making alliances with other countries so they can have like a lot of friends to protect them if anyone started to attack them.
Like they already partnered with France and Spain, like the war and everything. So I mean, if they got that, so they should build off that.
And they should divide the government so each one has a certain power and not one doesn't get too much power. Whatever they do, they should probably learn to be more independent, because they've definitely been sort of in a circulatory system with Britain, and they've been providing things for each other, and they're going to have to learn to not rely on Britain because they are annoying.
I think they need to like figure out who they're gonna trade with. And,
Yeah, because like Britain cut off all their trade and made them only trade with them. So other countries might be a little angry that they didn't get traded to.
Jesse, what did you mean by they've been in a circular kind of government?
Well, it's a sort of a circulatory system, or is what I'm comparing it to. Britain, in this case, would be like the heart, and all this trade that was going on would be a blood, and so the blood goes to the heart, and the heart pumps the blood, and it's all a well-working system. And if one part doesn't work, then it could break apart.
like in your body.
Yes, that's what I mean. Circulatory.
Oh,
Separate.
good
Did I say
analogy.
circular or circulatory? I thought that when I was explaining, I said circulatory.
That's a good
I
analogy.
think that they should take time to form like a government and get their rights down, and make sure that each of their they need to have certain strongholds so they can prepare for that next attack that's going to come from somebody, and they need to help befriend the Indians so they can like use them to their advantage and not be like fighting with them.
And like they need to make sure, like when they make the rules, they have to make sure everybody will agree, because then that's just gonna, like that's basically the same reason why they broke away, because they didn't agree with the rules and like how they're being treated. So I think when they make the new rules, they need to make sure that everybody at least agrees with some part of it. And
Going off that,
say-
let me interrupt for a second. Going off what Emmeline said, how could they get agreement on the rules? How were some ways they could ensure agreement or cohesion, not cohesion, but compliance at least with the rules?
Well, they have a Congress together already because of the Continental Congress, and I guess the Congress can decide, at least for now.
And we just need a way of like, see like what the people want and be able to like make whatever, like a decision based on what's best for the people, not like maybe this one group might be able to benefit like whatever like the general like mass vote is.
Well, the Congress is made out of all the colonies' representatives, so I feel like everyone would be pretty well represented there.
What would be some problems with the Continental Congress being the new government for the country? They had the Continental Congress, they formed during the Revolutionary War. Should they keep that government? What might some problems be of keeping that government?
One problem would be the fact that laws would take a really, really long time to come through. And so like they wouldn't be able to pass laws very quickly.
Why is that?
Because they wouldn't have one person who could just say, we need to declare war on a certain country. It would take months, weeks or months to decide that they want to declare war, so they might need one person to head that up.
Yeah, because you can't go into a fight having nothing to argue back with or like punch back with. Like if they, like at the debate, they didn't, like at the debate just recently, one person, I forgot his name, he didn't punch back with like, he wasn't ready for all the counter to his questions and his statements. So you have to be sure that you're prepared for what's going to come your way. You can't just go into a fight empty-handed.
Back to Coach Bennett's question. I think something wrong would be that the representatives only want what's good for their colony, not what's good for the whole nation.
That's what I would think, because like
Good comment.
we might like have like the leaders of the Continental Congress are like the head people, so they're kind of like the richer people, I would say. So they kind of have only like a smaller outlook, I would think, than the entire colony. So if you were to have like a voting system where everyone could give their opinion and like see what's happening from like the lower perspective, you'd be able to get what like the people really need, not like maybe like the higher class people need, but like the general problem.
What you could do is you could get representatives. You could get a representative from the upper class and then a representative from the lower class, so they can represent both needs and
But still make one general like argument.
Another problem with the Congress is that the colonies kind of see themselves as still separate beings. We talked about like during the war, the colonies kind of had a hard time coordinating because they were trying to defend themselves.
Yeah, the South was a completely different.
And just like how the colonies are seeing them, it's kind of hard to force together people when they don't really want to be together, and they're still seeing themselves as separate beings, not in a mere nation.
They need to like use the same mindset that they are in this together, and if they want this to work, they have to work together.
Let me interrupt for a second. Has anybody, as you're having good comments, good discussion, and taking it where we want it to go, has anybody thought of a question you might have on this topic to pose to the group? Colbert.
How will the Patriots in the new world, how they defend against the English who are still in their country, who how do they know they're not going to be spying for the English? How will they make sure everyone's unified and they're all on the same team?
That's a good question. We're not going to answer all these right now, but I just kind of want you to be thinking about questions. Anybody else have a question you thought of? That was a good one, Cole. Okay, be thinking about, I'm going to come to you again and ask you that again, what questions you thought of. I want you to be thinking of questions on this topic that we can discuss. Go ahead.
Can I answer the question?
Yes, sir.
Well, I think that they definitely need to keep their friendship with France and Spanish strong, because that's one of the main things that
Britain said like they've removed their troops. Okay.
They said they're going to, yeah.
So I mean, I think they should always be prepared for something like to happen, but be prepared without being overly paranoid, where they're devoting all their time and all their money to like defend if there's something to defend. Like just to like be prepared for it, but don't be overly involved in it and overwhelmed by it.
All right, going off what some of you all have said, you talked about forming a new government, that kind of thing. As they're creating a new government and a new constitution, which is a set of rules for the government, what would be some of the biggest challenges in creating the new constitution? Which of those think some of the biggest challenges would be in creating the new constitution?
I would guess like it would be hard for them to decide on the rules, because I don't think they would want the same rules that they had back in Britain, because they came across the ocean to be free from those rules. But the rules in Britain were what held Britain together. So I don't think they're gonna understand that some of those rules are gonna have to be the same, because that's just what every government needs.
That is a good point. And I want you to think about, I want to mention that in the question also, put yourselves in their perspective, what all they've been through, where they've been, and what they're going to put in the Constitution. And maybe not just what are some challenges, but what are some things you think they're going to include in the Constitution based on where they've been? What do you think they're going to be sure to include in their new Constitution?
Sort of agreeing with Lauren, since they've left and they're trying to create a new thing, they're all one, but they all have different points of view, so I think they're in trouble with unity and stuff. So I bet if they're trying to find a certain thing of rights that they want, I think it'd be difficult because not everybody's gonna agree, which is just gonna happen. But also if they don't have a way to find the most agreed thing, that's gonna be even harder. So if they don't have a way to find what they want, it's gonna be really hard to make a decision.
Well, I think kind of like what Logan said, they're not gonna want one person to have all the power like the king did. So they're not gonna put one person in charge of everything, and they're gonna have multiple types of government.
Good job pulling from where they've been.
And I feel like if they have many leaders instead of just one, that they might be able to come together better and stay together.
And sending in a representative from each colony really helped out with the what does each colony want, and what do they want to see change or stay the same in the new constitution, and then have what other things and how you can all combine together.
It's kind of like everything that they kind of want to do here is they've seen with it, where they've been and how the leaders that they previously had, how they messed up, and so all they're gonna do is they're gonna make a safety net. So you can have many leaders, so there's not one person that can take over power, or there's a way that the mass majority of people can agree, so that if something does mess up, there's something that could fix it that's already been previously put there.
I think the representatives of the things that are there are the safety net, because with the president he can veto things and he can send things down, but he can't overpower for one thing without majority, and so that's why the House is there. And I think that's why that was ever put in place, is because they don't want to get themselves just into another Britain situation where someone gets power hungry and they take office and they're all just living like they were in Britain.
Yeah,
So,
Hold on a second. Both of you, good comments and good job relating it to where they've been. With Sydney talking about not wanting one person to have all the power and planning for that. Cole talking about how they might do that. Go ahead, Emmeline.
Either was it Cole or Logan, they said about the government dividing up into three. That's why.
wait, what do you mean?
Having three branches. So
Branches, yeah.
so 3 branches is one thing they're gonna.
That was Logan, but yeah,
Logan said.
that's also another safety net. The branches.
Yeah. That she makes sure no one has too much power.
Absolute power.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we go on, anybody else have thought of another question on this topic?